guys? Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. We're talking about Auburn football like nobody else will. Locked in on the Cover One podcast. Like the video, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle. Okay, so we have ended the season. Auburn getting beat down 35-19 against Northwestern. The basketball team is not having a lot of luck either, taking on Texas A&M. Their second conference loss, 68-66. A very talented basketball team, but of course, having to deal with a lot of inexperience. And I think the absence of Sharif Cooper has definitely been a factor. And it would have been nice, although it made sense, would have been nice to have Isaac Okoro back. But of course, you got to do what you must, which leads to my point. Anthony Schwartz, it has opted out of the Citrus Bowl. Then today, a few days later, which we know some more news is going to come out of the Plains. Today, he decides to completely opt out and saying he's going to forego any more time at Auburn to pursue a career in the NFL. I'm not going to go into the probabilities or what draft he may go in, what draft round he may go in or any of that. The NFL scouts, apparently somebody somewhere sees to where Anthony Schwartz could be a viable pick in the NFL as a wide receiver. He definitely has the speed to do so, but at the same time, you also look at guys' ability to develop players, which was such a huge issue at Auburn, and it was apparent. It was definitely apparent in the Citrus Bowl to where all season long, and I know offensive coordinators saw this on film footage, to where all you have to do is lure on the end. When you ease your running back out into the flat, all you have to do is lure your end in, the defensive end in, and he's going to be out of position and just dump the ball to the flat, and it's going to be a first down. Just simple football. Auburn falling for the most simplest plays, and that was some of the frustration of the Auburn fan base. Now, let's go back to the aftermath of things like Anthony Schwartz happening. Okay, so rewind this back. The Auburn fan base was adamant about getting rid of Gus, which I still don't disagree. Adamant about getting rid of Gus. But what the Auburn fans, and it was all exhilaration. We find out Gus Malzahn is gone. Find out that a few days later that Bryan Harsin is going to be the coach. Bryan Harsin, one of the third winningest current coaches in college football right now. Find out he's coming to Auburn, gives a nice a nice conference presser to begin his career, and all of a sudden the Auburn fans are excited. The second coming of, Pat Dye maybe. Maybe that's taking it a little bit too far, but you could see the exhilaration across social media. Now that the new car smell is worn off, the Auburn fan base are now questioning this thing. Not necessarily Bryan Harsin, but they're starting to look at some of the byproducts of what they asked for. For the most part, the Auburn fan base, I would say a high percentage of them wanted Gus Malzahn gone. But what you got to realize is Gus Malzahn leaves, there's some stuff he's taking with him. Gus Malzahn has been with the program for almost 8 years. He's done some okay things at Auburn. He's established some great relationships with players at Auburn. It doesn't matter how great of a guy Bryan Harsin is. Bryan Harsin did not recruit some of these kids. Bryan Harsin did not sit in some of the living rooms of these kids talking to their parents, convincing them as to why he's the best guy to lead them through their collegiate career, which would probably lead to either the NFL or which probably would lead to landing a leadership position at some company in subsequent life, because Gus Malzahn did do a good job of getting his kids graduated. So it's not so much you got to be careful what you ask for. You got to accept what you ask for. You asked for Gus to leave, and now things like this are going to happen. You're going to have speculation that certain players might want to hit the transfer portal, especially now, at least from what I've seen. It's now easy to hit the transfer portal and have immediate eligibility somewhere else. That makes it dangerous for a team like Auburn, who usually has a pretty decent level of talent, and they may want to go somewhere else. I think about this job that I took on. I got a promotion, and I was thinking to myself, especially based on what I walked into compared to what I was accustomed to, I was like, man, I'm so glad that there was a shift in the company to where my same upper management would actually be in that area where I was being promoted to. Because when I look at what the prior management, because you can see footprints of what they did before you got there. So I saw chaos. I saw just I'll just say a very interesting way of running a business. Definitely not something that I was accustomed to from my prior time in the former regime that I was in, which I could understand. I could see the symptoms of why some of the results were the way they were. And I think about these players when it comes to that. They may not be comfortable with a whole set of coaches coming in to take over. That's not to say that Bryan Harsin is going to do a bad job. But when you're new in leadership, you see it all the time. When a new manager comes in, no matter how good that manager may be, there are going to be some people there that were so loyal to the previous leader that they're not comfortable there no more. It's not that you're a bad guy. I don't like this. I like what I had. So either they opt all the way out, or maybe they transfer to something similar, or they just stick around. They're so young in the program, they just stick around. Luckily for Auburn, they got a lot of young guys on the team. A lot of young guys that haven't been around for like 3 and 4 years, like your Eli Stoves and even your Anthony Schwartz that's been around for a while. Things of that nature. But I want us to take a real objective look at this. And one, if you're an Auburn fan right now, this is what I really suggest. I really suggest that you decompress. Just decompress for a week. Don't go to All About Auburn. Don't go to any type of fan page. Don't go to Twitter. Don't go to Bryan Harsin's Twitter to see what he's talking about. I would suggest you take a week and just fast from being an Auburn fan for a week. I'm not saying just not be an Auburn fan no more. But sometimes I'll tell you what this does, because I actually do a form of fasting from time to time. What it does, it allows you to clear your mind and think objectively about things. It helps you see a clear picture of where this thing could possibly be headed. And the reason why I say I think you need to clear your mind is because you got to be prepared for what's going to happen. There are going to be some coaching changes. There are going to be some players that are not going to be there anymore. It's going to be a somewhat rough road ahead in the immediate future. You might even stumble up and look and see that Auburn goes 7-5 this season, with another trip back to the Birmingham Bowl. You might see that. But what you want to look for is those little things like Nick Saban had to look for in 2007 when he lost to University of Louisiana Monroe. Look at what I'm going to be able to do based on my base plan. And you see what happened. We put too much stock into the Northwestern game. We just wanted to see an Auburn win. Yes, selfish purposes. We knew it was a possibility that it didn't happen. Most of us were mad because we didn't have nobody really to blame for the loss. We didn't have Gus Malzahn as the scapegoat. So we were looking for somebody to blame. Some wanted to blame. I'm pretty sure somebody out there was saying, well, if Bryan Harsin would have coached the game, they probably would have won. Bryan Harsin doesn't know these players. That absolutely makes no sense. Anthony Schwartz opts out. I will definitely wish him the best. I wish all these kids the best, no matter where they go. Because this is a big portion of our future. These guys, the decisions that they make are not only going to affect them as citizens, it's going to affect us as well. And them seeing us blast them on social media, that's not the move, guys. Saying that anybody sucks. I think Bo Nix has his challenges. And I'm not too sure if he will be able to overcome them. But to say a kid sucks, I just can't do it. All right, guys. Once again, it's Kennard Vernon Stewart here for the podcast. We would wish Anthony Schwartz on this channel a well-ado moving forward. I think he's a smart kid. He can make things happen in subsequent life. Like this video. Please subscribe to the channel. And as always, it's great to be an Auburn Tiger, War Eagle.